Hi, everyone. I'm Omid Yazdanshenas, and I'm a VR producer on the Oculus Studios team. I'm joined by Chia Lee and Gabe Brown, co-founders of BigBox VR and creators of Population One. All right, guys, why don't you go ahead and introduce yourselves and tell us about the breakout title, Population One.
Omid, it's good to see you. So I'm Chia. I'm a co-founder and CEO of BigBox VR, and this is Gabe.
Hi, everyone. I'm Gabe Brown. I'm a co-founder and CTO of BigBox VR. It's good to see you, Omid.
Great seeing you guys, although I probably can say I see you guys on VC a couple hours a day as it is leading up to launch. So first question, I want to really just get into it. I remember when I first visited your guys' studio, you guys were underway with development, and you already shipped a game at that point. But I could tell you guys were still a very new studio when I walked in and saw some very questionable office furniture around, a few things falling apart here and there. You guys were still new in the VR scene. So tell me, to level set here, how did you guys get started? And what did you guys set out to do when you were doing it, in VR? What was the mission there?
Yeah, I don't know what furniture you're referring to, but I think we're still very new in the VR space. The VR space is just beginning, and but that's the entire purpose of our company, is to combine social, multiplayer, online, and VR. And so the first time I saw VR, it completely broke my brain. And the moment I saw it, I was like, okay, I've been in PC, online, console online, social games, the Facebook games era, and mobile. And I saw VR as the new platform. It's going to change the world. And then from my experience, just working in lots of games, I really thought, if we could connect people in VR online, just using the social co-presence and have everyone play online games, it's basically, it's the coolest, biggest thing. So me and Gabe, we set out this mission to start this company. So Gabe, you probably will have more to add to that as well.
Oh, yeah. Omid's referring to the chairs were leftovers from the University of Washington Department of Physics. So
That's exactly it.
Those were like 5-year-old chairs he sat in. We still have them, so we'll keep them forever. I've always kind of been like a technology early adopter, and so we first started with Chia and I when we played around with the DK1 and the DK2 for the early Oculus headsets, and we tried it out. It's like, wow, there's something really magical here. And checking out this CV1, the consumer Rift that came out, that's like kind of the wow moment for Chia. It's like everyone has that wow moment in VR when they're like, this changes everything. And that's something that was really special to us, is when we saw that, we've been a part of these different platforms, and we've seen how technology can cross the chasm into the mainstream. And we could totally see a horizon in 3 to 5 years where VR could become a mainstream technology that people use every day in their lives. And we all know that like the VHS tape and the Betamax tapes, those are the gateways that like they open up the doors to the rest of the world, and the content is the key. And so we saw with VR a blue ocean that we could go set out into and to create awesome content and awesome games that people can enjoy around the world that would eventually become a mainstream.
Awesome. Yeah, and you guys definitely did set out on that blue ocean and definitely did some good exploring. I mean, when we talk about playing Population One, there are so many people in the game now. You couldn't even imagine this 5 years ago. And I remember those early days, 5 years ago, joining a game, sitting around in the lobby, waiting for one other person just so you can join a multiplayer match. You're just sitting and waiting. Over the years, it got a little better. There's a few more people joining here, a few more people joining there. But the most amazing thing for me, even to this day, is when you guys launched in October, and then you hop in the game, you quickly saw all these other names pop up, person after person joining. It didn't matter if it was 2 p.m., 6 p.m., 1 a.m. It was that wow moment for me, saying like, you guys ventured out there and you guys really did something where I'm seeing people flood in. And it's something I never saw before, even working at Oculus for the past 5 years, barely hoping people would jump into games. So was this part of your vision to kind of be that juggernaut in the multiplayer scene with Pop One? And when we're talking about everyone getting in. Like, how important are these social and multiplayer features for, kind of what you guys do?
Yeah, no, that's a really great question. I think, when we started out, and like I said, we started out to a multiplayer centric VR company. And every single person told us, make single player games. There's not enough people in VR. They just came out with a lot of just doubt in the space. And the truth is for us, the number one thing we needed to do was to aggregate all the platforms. So we have to look at, PC hardware. And at that time, wasn't a lot of mobile hardware out there, right? So we had to aggregate everything that we could, but also come out with a giant bang that could actually make liquidity, the marketplace liquidity, the matchmaking work. In a very lucky sense, by the time we were launching this, the Quest 1 and then eventually the Quest 2 was coming out. So, in life and in business, timing is a lot of everything as well. But for us creating this business, we never for a second doubted the need for connecting people in VR, online, social. And then when the hardware really showed up and we launched, everything connected together and made it work.
We also learned a lot too, making Population One. We learned a lot from Smashbox Arena, and in particular about the art style for Population One. So in addition to having people play together online, the other key aspect that we really wanted to make sure too is that making it a place that people wanted to be. We learned a lot from our original art style from Smashbox, which is more cartoony, and we knew for the next title we really wanted to go more realistic, near future. And so we shared some really cool concept art with you about this bright and colorful world. It's welcoming and familiar, but mysteriously different. And so it's things like the tower, the destruction in the world, and just like the evolving world of Population One is having this place that, as part of multiplayer, you have to have a place that people want to be. And so that was our bet in terms of like how to make Population One something that players naturally gravitate to.
Yeah, what better place to want to be than some future game world where you have to go and hunt down other people, right? It's definitely cool to see that art style and stuff come through fruition. I definitely want to touch on one thing that Jachin, you mentioned with the hardware, because you were saying that hardware came around at that time when you guys were developing, and many people don't really know this, but you guys were originally going to ship exclusively on PC. Getting the game onto the Quest platform was definitely not easy, right? You've got 18 players, 1 square kilometer map, and we had some experts on our developer relations engineering squad who came and helped you guys. And, really it was a monumental effort in doing all that stuff kind of on the mobile chipset. From your perspective though, when you talk about social and getting people meaningfully to play together in, realistic kind of art style setting, what was it like getting the game of that kind of magnitude onto the Quest platform, as opposed to PC, where it's kind of, limitless what you could build?
Yeah, I think, Gabe will answer the very technical bits of that because that was a giant challenge. And for me, on the business sense, right? Like when we started, it was really, we started in 2016. And at that time, it was really PC VR centric. And Gabe and I looked at each other and we were looking at projecting out. And to make multiplayer work, you need certain number of headset. And we basically said, okay, we think the headsets will arrive in, let's call it, X number of years out. But it was way longer than what actually happened. So what happened was, one day we were about to actually launch on PC VR, and we talked to the Oculus people. At that time, we talked to Chris Journey as well at Oculus, yeah. And and you guys actually said, "Hey, listen, we've got a device, and it's gonna change. It's a game changer device." And when Gabe and I tried that thing, we're like, "Holy crap! this is actually what we thought would happen, but many years earlier." So at that time, we pivoted the entire company in development. We actually recreated the entire game to fit on that device. So Gabe, you should talk about that because that was a monumental effort.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. For us, like Population One is about a battle royale format. So it's about having a 1 kilometer map with 18 players, and we with our realistic art style. So that was kind of our non-negotiables. Like we need to have at least that to have a battle royale in VR. And that realistic art style is crucial for Population One to really stick out in terms of the other VR multiplayer games, is because it's that bright, colorful, realistic art style. And so it took us about a year, but like Chachin said, we reauthored a lot of our assets, rewrote a bunch of our tech in order to make it run on the device. And some of the big challenges that we ran into is that Unity's likes to do a lot of its work on the main thread, and we have other cores available to us on a device. And so while on a PC you have one gigantic, powerful core that you can run stuff on and get away with a lot of sloppy work, you can't do that on the Quest. And so we used a lot of brand new technology out of Unity, the Burst compiler, as well as the Unity job system that allowed us to move work onto the other cores. So we wrote our own LED engine, our own physics engine. We did multi-threaded networking and FMOD, and including timing the points in which the threads do their work on the core. So we did a lot of optimization so we could get that. We also worked with
Quest One, right?
On the Quest One, that's right. Yep.
Yeah.
So we had some tight controlling over that. We also did a lot of work on the brand new lightweight render pipeline, which gave us full control over how to render things on the screen. And we actually forked that and created our own BigBox render pipeline that is super optimized. So everything you see in the world is under the 40 to 50 draw calls, which is absolutely mind-blowingly impressive for how far you can see. You can see a full kilometer in the world. We also use texture arrays so we can reduce draw calls. So fast rendering was key. And then the last bit was really tight control over memory. So by default, Unity loads everything in resources folder straight into memory, so you can easily blow out memory and run out really fast. And so just around the same time, these three addressables also came out, which allowed us to precisely load and unload assets from memory. So we had super tight control over when things load and when they unload and how much main thread time they have. So, which was very serendipitous because all these technologies were either in beta or available right at the time that we started this project.
Yeah.
So it's absolutely fascinating because it's basically supercomputing on a mobile phone. That's the level of work that we've done. And all part of that is we tied that together. It's like we knew we could get performance with that, but we knew we had to guarantee high frame rate for users on the Quest because we know in VR, frame rate is directly correlated with how comfortable players are. And we built one of I think is probably the most advanced mobile VR performance measurement system in the world. We can detect very small regressions up to 0.2% fairly accurately. So it's pretty awesome the amount of work that our studio has done to make this happen, but also deliver a great experience to users.
I mean, it's totally true. I mean, it was amazing to see that you don't need, the highest end graphics card to really feel that visceral, heart pumping combat that you experience, and just the world building and immersion. I mean, playing on PC versus playing on a mobile headset, you can't really tell the difference. I mean, there's some higher textures here and there, but that as soon as you hop in, that immediately goes away and you are immersed. And you could even argue that it's even better untethered. You could just pop in there. And many of these VR experiences that you try, while great, a lot of them are kind of just one and done. But you see people just keep coming back and forth, coming back into Pop One and kind of eager and itching for one more match. So what are you guys doing that's so unique, that's keeping players engaged? I mean, you take the headset off and you're like, maybe I want to do one more round. Like, what's the secret sauce? How are you kind of getting us back in?
A lot of it is, just the game design, but the majority of it, I think, is just making sure that you're matching up against other people and they're friending each other and being social. So one of the key lessons, Gabe and I have worked together in the past, doing free-to-play games and running live services. And one of the key things we've learned is that when people play with other people, they tend to come back a lot more often, and they become friends, right? So strangers become friends, or friends bring their real-life friends. And so in our game, we're actually creating our own social graph. So I thought I'd kind of share with you some interesting data point that we found, right? So the first thing is we wanted to know if retention is helped by people friending with each other. So this is something that if you make free-to-play games or live service games, you kind of go, well, retention is king. It just it matters a lot. And there's usually a giant correlation between number of friends you get and make in that game, the friends graph versus the retention. And so we wanted to see if this held. So actually, we did a quick study, and we found out that the week 9 retention, right? So we find that VR is mostly a weekly activity. I mean, we measure the dailies and all that stuff, but a lot of the long-term retention is measured better by weeklies. And so what we found is your speed of making friends within the first 7 days actually correlates extremely high with what your retention is 9 weeks later. So if you look at the chart here, if you have 0 friends, actually, 9 weeks later, you're still playing, but less. And if you make 10 plus friends, 9 weeks later, it's over 5x in terms of retention. It's massive, right? Then the next thing we did was we dug in. We said, okay, so people are making friends in our game. Well, are they playing together? So in our game, it's a squad of 3. So you either go in by yourself and match up, or you bring 1 friend or 2 friends. And we found out that 57% of players are matching up with 1 friend or 2 friends. So they're playing in squads. And then the next thing we said was, well, how does this actually matter? And what we found was that when people play in pairs or trios, they are playing a lot more in terms of matches per session. So they're sticking together longer in sessions, but actually, more importantly, this is really fascinating. When we found the stat, we're like, wow, this is really cool, is that when people play in groups, in pairs or in trios, they are KOing the other members a lot more. So people are friending up, playing together, grouping together, KOing more when they're friends, and then over 9 weeks and over, they're staying around a lot longer. So squatting up and social is critical.
Yeah, I mean, they're playing longer. People who play together are playing longer. I mean, it's an amazing thing to see. I mean, you could see it when you hop in with your friends as well. It's almost a no-brainer, but you guys definitely have it down to a science.
Definitely. And it's something that you wonder, hey, does it work in VR? And the answer is yes, of course it works in VR. We're humans and we want to connect with other people, and VR, the social co-presence makes it even better.
Tacking onto what Cha-Chen was saying about the friends and how social and how having friends is really tied to better retention, better gameplay of Population 1, the foundation of that is really the squad system. And players, when you first play Population 1, you're likely going to squad up by yourself, but like magic, a lot of your Oculus friends will automatically show up on your friends list. So a lot of people, if they've already been playing on Oculus headsets and they have their friends, they'll get pulled in automatically and you can squad up together if you're online. But another part of this is also, too, related to the serendipity of you get into a squad. So if you're playing by yourself, you get placed into a squad of 3 people chosen at random when you join the server. In some matches, you don't do well. In some matches, you do really well. And so when those moments happen of that serendipity, we want people to be able to hey, that was really fun. Omid and Cha-Chen, you guys are really great. I want to play another match with you guys. We make it so it's really easy to friend up on the spot. And so that serendipity ties back into matchmaking and allowing the possibility for that randomness to allow people to connect and then become squad mates eventually and start playing together.
I'm a fairly introverted person, and I've made kind of a lot of friends in Pop 1, more than I feel like I would make in real life doing things, because it's a lot easier when there's a shared goal, and it's pretty easy to add friends, and it's all overall a pretty good time. And everyone I play with is super passionate about the game. And I mean, coming from playing these matches and hearing, basically what you just said about really optimizing for the Quest, developing new technologies, pushing it as far as you can, it's clear that you guys are passionate and you guys believe in VR as a new space for really good social, like a social, ecosystem, a social lifestyle where you can really get in there and do things meaningfully, but socially with your friends. It's not an isolating device. And, I've been working here at Oculus since the original Rift. And one thing that I'm proud of is how we collaborate with our developers, that are pushing the level. So there's things like Beat Saber that's pushing the bar for our tracking software with the original Quest. You guys definitely pushing the original Quest in different ways as well. So when we're talking about social features, like all the things that you're mentioning here and there, whether it's building new ones or optimizing the things that we already have, and all that good stuff that you guys are kind of helping us do in tandem with Population One, what are some, I want to talk about platform integrations, and are there key ones that helped you either during development or after launch when we talk about things like social, which is something you guys are pushing the boundary on our platform and in VR in general?
Yeah, I think, there's been numerous platform features that we've hooked up with Population One, both during the development as well as during our regular live operations. And so one of the biggest ones that's been super helpful for us is both leaderboards and events. So the events are really fascinating because it allows players to subscribe to an upcoming event that's happening in the game. And then they get notified when their friends sign up, or they get notified when the event's about to start. So that's been really fun. Snoop Dogg was live, subscribe to that one. That was always fun. So, and the same thing for the launch of Season 1 for Population One. And leaderboards is also super interesting, as well as like our past events like Harvest Havoc, where players can accumulate points. You can see where are you doing, how are you performing relative to your friends, and you get notifications if Omid is kicking my butt in Harvest Havoc and things of that sort. So those two have been really interesting. Looking forward to future integrations, with the launch of Season 1, we added the ability for players to gift each other Seeker Silver, which is a social currency that you can use to unlock exclusive skins and sprays in the store. And we just launched with the new trigger notifications that allow people to get notifications when they're not playing Population One, when they got that currency, so they can go collect it. And so we've been seeing some early results, and we've been really fascinated and really inspired with how this unlocks the more social capabilities within the Oculus platform. Going forward, too, we've also used deep links. We've used it with John Carmack. We invited him to join one of our servers. He clicked it. Bam, he was in our private server. And we're hoping that's something that we might be able to give to players as well in the future. And obviously, all the great dashboards as well for the website that allows us to run our early access channels for players. So that way we can have players jump in, play an early access build with us for 2 to 3 hours, and then they can sign off of that and go straight into production and go play matches in the live production. But all these tools together add up to a really seamless, really excellent developer experience. So we felt like the sale was always, our sale was always full with Win pushing us forward.
Yeah, I mean, I can tell you guys are really pushing the lever on pulling the lever on any kind of social integration or notification like that, because it's kind of tanking our productivity at the office a bit. Where I get a ping on my phone, I'm like, I gotta get in. He just called me in. I gotta jump in. You can see people in between meetings like, all right, you want to get around in? I just got Omid's in. Let me go hop in with him. So it's definitely doing the job by reducing a little bit of productivity at work. And it's something it's kind of it's enlightening for me, is to kind of see how successful it is, because people at work are taking breaks to go play a round or two of Pop One. So from my end, I mean, it looks like you guys are definitely immensely successful. But to kind of try to objectify that, we talk about a lot of people playing, but what does success look like in VR? Because you could say, yeah, Pop One's successful, but what does that actually mean to you guys, and how do you guys measure that success?
Yeah, I think from the early days of the company, we've had strong conviction that our roadmap is in 3 stages, right? The first stage is to build a great product. And, I hope we've done that. So that's something we've done, right? So you launch it, and the second stage is to build that community. So, and the third stage is build an ecosystem platform. And we're thinking about UGC in the future, or private servers, or other things in the future. But just to look at the second stage here, we're still there right now, which is building that community, right? And in building that community, I think, just sharing some interesting stats with you. So one of the ways that we look at our community is like, how fast are people making friends with each other? and what are they doing in there. So one stat that we look at is friends per daily active user, friends for DAU. And as you can see here, the friends for DAU is, since our launch, it just keeps going up. So as of early February, we are hitting almost 25 friends for DAU. So that means anyone who comes into our game that day has, on average, about 25 friends. And that just keeps growing.
That's pretty insane. I got to pause you right there. That one is a huge number. I mean, 25 friends that you're playing with, that you see online. It's an amazing thing.
Yeah, and I think that number is interesting because we see it as, every single friend that you can have in the game is an opportunity for you to squad up with someone. So it drives the matches, session times, retention that I talked about earlier. But honestly, also, it's super fun to watch people connect in VR and become real life friends. So we watch a lot of our community groups closely. We're on Reddit, we're in the Facebook groups, and lots of people are becoming real friends in VR, but also in real life. So, which is like, and just speaking from my own experience, I'm still friends with some people I've never met in real life actually yet, but I've been playing games with them for like 10 years or more. It's pretty cool to have that.
Yeah, pop one marriage, one day you'll see people.
Well, that already happened. Someone sent in a video of the person was proposing to his fiance in VR in our game, and I made a video of it. So that was pretty cool.
Oh my God! I think my wife would kill me if I proposed with a banana in Pop One. It wouldn't be a good thing.
That wouldn't be good. But I think the second stat that I wanted to share with you is that we've been measuring how many people are making friends with each other, the connections that are actually happening in our game. And and it keeps growing, but so far we've connected 1.7 million users, like just person-to-person connections. And that is just growing, and it's something that Gabe and I are super proud of and excited about.
I mean, that is a lot of connections with friends. I mean, you think about where VR was a couple of years ago, and you say right now you have 1.7 million people, 1.7 million friend connections. That is an amazing thing. I mean, it truly says that people want to interact. People want to be social, and providing them a space to do so, it'll make it happen. So I want to close out kind of this whole interview with one last question is, I know that when we are looking at content at Oculus, there's usually one thought on my mind when I'm looking at a game, is this game more fun in VR? For me, Population 1 is one of those games that's built for VR, and VR is built for it. If you have that, I think you're on the right track. So to close out, what advice do you guys have for anyone who wants to develop on Quest or in VR, whether it be porting from PC, making a social experience, or jumping into VR development as a whole?
Gabe, you should take this one first.
Yeah, I mean, I think overall, VR development as a whole, VR is starting to see its iPhone 1 or the iPhone 3G moment where we're seeing this exponential growth that's happening undoubtedly with the Quest leading the way. So it's really just this exponential growth of headsets coming out. People are getting in, and we're seeing mainstream consumers, not hardcore gamers with gigantic PCs playing virtual reality. And that's really exciting because we're seeing the demographic shift towards a mainstream consumer. And as a developer, that's really exciting because that means it's like I can make a game and we can have a business with this. And so that's really inspiring. And for Population 1, like we talked about, it's like it needs to be 10 times more fun in VR than it is on desktop. And our goal was to make a VR game so good that you would just never want to play a pancake game again. And we call pancake games desktop games just because that's what the subreddit does. And we knew that we would only learn how to do that by shipping and making games and putting it out in the public. So I think this is a great time to be a VR developer. Chachin, what do you think?
Yeah, I think, if you're out there and thinking about developing for VR, I think this is a great time to do it because the hardware's there, the price point is correct, the form factor will just keep getting better. And honestly, people just need more content. And as a VR gamer myself, I want a lot more content. So if you have great ideas and you want to build for VR, this is the best time to do it. I feel like it's early days, and it'll just keep getting better. So that's my advice: is that you should jump into it.
All right, guys, thanks for joining me here. I want to end this on that final question, because we are at GDC after all. What's that one thing you would tell a dev thinking about social in VR? If there's one kind of high-level item you want to impart after kind of releasing this game, what would that be? Cha-Chen, I'll start with you.
Yeah, I think one of the key things is that I'm actually going to do 2 quick key things, because I actually thought about this and I was like, this is really interesting. Number one is having a shared goal in VR is super important. So when you're doing social, I think sandbox and all that stuff is really cool and really fun. But if you want to quickly get people to come to one place and connect them and do cool stuff, having a shared goal, and that's in Pop 1, right? You're playing a battle royale game. That's a good format. The second thing I would say is, I talked about the social co-presence a lot. That's the unique thing to VR, just feeling like someone's there, and take advantage of that, because that is magical, and you should totally take advantage of that. It's still early days and it's pretty cool.
Yeah, just to tack on to what Cha-Chen said, I think social in VR requires 2 major things, which is purpose and serendipity. The purpose is, why are you there? You need to come together to do something. And the easiest analog is like your kickball team in your neighborhood. And because you're a good kickball team, you become friends. And the serendipity really comes down to, like Population 1, is players bump into each other all the time. They run into people and they play games with people that they haven't met before. And that serendipity happens when you happen to find a group and you click. And then suddenly and then make it frictionless to become friends, and then they continue to play together after that. With those 2 pieces together, purpose and serendipity, I think developers will find that they too can make really engaging social experiences that people enjoy playing together.
Amazing. I'm thankful I've learned a lot, in talking with you guys and working with you guys here. And I'm hoping that everyone who watched this also learned a good bit about what it is to make social games in VR. So thanks everyone, and thank you too for joining.
Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Yep. Thanks, Omid. We'll get you back on that chair soon.